subscribe, and ring the bell to never miss an update. Today we will make the most delicious pound cake you will ever eat. There are a few key ingredients that take this classic cake from ordinary to extraordinary. Let's get started baking. This is a wonderful recipe that my mother used to make, and it's certainly a nice memory of her. It's actually a Southern Living recipe that was in their 40th anniversary cookbook. We will start with 3 softened sticks of butter. That's 1½ cups. We will beat this at medium speed until it's creamy. And now we will gradually add 3 cups of granulated sugar. And then we'll continue beating. It looks light and fluffy already, but I'll just give it another little bit here. Now that the butter and sugar are incorporated and light and fluffy, we will add 6 eggs, one at a time until the yolk disappears. It's a good idea to bring eggs to room temperature for baking. Here we have the dry ingredients. I actually like to pre-measure and have that ready before I even cream the butter and the sugar. And it calls for 3 cups of flour and a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ¼ teaspoon of baking soda. I like to use King Arthur flour. And just a tip, when you're measuring flour, take your cup and scoop it, and then take the blade of a knife and go across the flour. That way it's just the right measurement and it's not packed too densely. Otherwise that will change the texture of your cake. Okay, so we will add the dry mixture alternating with 8 ounces of sour cream, beginning and ending with the flour mixture. Starting with the dry mixture, we will put the mixer on a low speed, and again, start with the flour and then alternate with the sour cream. Start at low speed and take your time incorporating the flour mixture and the sour cream. You will want to increase the speed to medium. It's important to not overbeat. As you can see, I am using my trusted KitchenAid stand mixer. It's perfectly fine to use a handheld mixer as well. And make sure to get all that good batter off of the blade. Okay, and now the magic is about to happen with our fabulous ingredients. Okay, so this has been blended quite well, and remember it was on low speed. We've just incorporated everything and it still is fluffy. It has not lost its volume, which is really important. Now it's time to add some magic to our pound cake batter. It calls for 1 teaspoon of lemon extract and 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. And I'm actually using emulsion instead of extract. The difference being emulsion is water-based while an extract is comprised of 45% alcohol. And the emulsion stays in longer, it doesn't bake out, and you have more aroma and a very flavorful dessert. So let's add these ingredients and then we will be ready to put it in the pan. We'll start first with a 1 teaspoon of lemon extract, and in this case, lemon emulsion. I ordered this online. It's not something that you usually find in the stores. Extracts are perfectly wonderful to use. This is just kind of an upgrade for me. And again, 1 teaspoon. And these are stirred in. You do not use the mixer for this. So we'll just stir it by hand so that it doesn't lose volume. And then we will add the 1/4 teaspoon of almond. And you'll notice that it's very creamy coming out. It's not the clear liquid that you're used to seeing. because it is the emulsion that's water-based instead of alcohol. Okay, so we've got 1/4 teaspoon, and this is the almond extract. And when you use emulsion instead of extract, you actually do use the same amount. You don't have to alter it at all. The only difference is if you bake it, emulsion is great, but if you're just making chocolates or something that's not baked, you would want to use an extract. It smells divine with the extracts or emulsions, and I've just gently stirred everything. And now it is time to place this in a 12-cup greased tube pan. I have greased the 12-cup tube pan, and this is one that's flat on the bottom. This is loved. My mother passed this down to me, and I like to bake in her pans. Such a good memory. And I will carefully place the batter inside instead of just dumping it or pouring it. I will very carefully do this to avoid air pockets. And I'm sure you know the old trick of shaking the pan on the counter so that the air bubbles come out. We can do that too. I just like to try to avoid as many air bubbles as I can. Don't want any pockets that would make the cake fall. And I preheated the oven to 325 degrees, and the cake will bake for 1.5 hours. And it depends on your oven. I usually pull mine out at about 1 hour and 25 minutes. So you'll know your oven. Okay, now all of the batter is in our tube pan, and I'm going to very carefully smooth this together. It is a rather thick batter, and you don't want it to be lopsided, so I like to even it out, and that helps with any air pockets that might be down there. Now the sour cream pound cake is ready to be placed in the oven, and it has preheated to 325 degrees. Our cake has baked for 1.5 hours, and now it's time to remove it from the oven. Oh, it looks wonderful. And I will place it on top of the stove and let it cool for about 10 minutes before we invert it onto a wire rack. The cake is cooled for about 10 minutes, and now I will invert it onto a wire cooling rack. So I will center that, and it's still very hot, so I need my pot holders. And since we did grease the pan, it should come out quite easily. And I can hear it. So now we will just let it rest for a bit. Doesn't it look wonderful? And when I invert it yet again onto a cake pedestal later, it will be the right direction. Of course, you can serve it this way. I like the crispy top to show. The fine crumb texture and delicate lemon almond flavor of this sour cream pound cake pairs nicely with summer fruits. I like it with peaches. I think it really complements the lemon quite well. And I wanted to share with you how I prepare the peaches to serve with this pound cake. First, you obviously will peel the peaches, and these are freestone, and then slice them and place them in a bowl, and then add to your taste 1/2 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of sugar per peach. And the sugar helps bring out the juices, and it's very important to also add some lemon juice to it. Otherwise, your peaches will brown because they will oxidize. And I suggest that you prepare this ahead of time, maybe an hour or two, and it's even good for a couple of days in the fridge. It creates a syrup. It's wonderful and quite easy to serve because you can prepare it ahead of time. There's nothing better than peaches with cream. It's certainly a wonderful way to serve this pound cake. And to make my whipping cream, I add a packet of the Dr. Oetker vanilla sugar. You can even make your own vanilla sugar. And for each cup of whipping cream, I add this actually before I start whipping it. Or you could also add 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar to a cup of whipping cream, and then a splash of vanilla at the end. And these are available at Fiesta grocery stores, and you can probably find them online. I have friends that make their own vanilla sugar, so I'm sure you have a lot of experience with that. And as soon as our cake is cooled, then I will set our dessert table. I'll place the vanilla sugar in the bowl before I add the cream. And it's about 1 cup, and it actually doesn't have to be exact. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to pour. And that's about a cup. So now I will mix that, and when you're doing whipping cream, you might want to choose a taller, smaller bowl. That way the cream stays together and doesn't splatter too much. We'll start out kind of slow, and then as it thickens, we'll speed it up. And now the cream has thickened and it's perfect for serving. So let's place it in a bowl and get it on the dessert table. A serrated knife works well in slicing this cake. It makes for a cleaner cut, and the top has a little bit of a crisp, so you definitely want to get through that. Can't wait to have the first bite. And it would really probably feed 20 people if you were having a dinner party and this was the dessert. It's even great for a picnic. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. And look at this. And dress it up with peaches and cream. I like to place it on the side instead of on top of the cake. I think it makes a nicer presentation, and it's better for your guests as well. Now we'll add a dollop of whipped cream, maybe a little bit more. And that is a wonderful dessert. The recipe is in the description below and can also be found at ladymarybath.com. This truly is the most delicious pound cake. It's my favorite for summer with seasonal fruit. Definitely a crowd pleaser that will have them asking for seconds. From casual to elegant, this dessert will impress your guests. Elevate your everyday with a signature recipe. Thanks for joining Lady Mary Bath. Please hit like and subscribe. I hope to see you next time for more lifestyle tips.